Welcome to the Crypto News. In this video, Gareth Soloway shares his latest prediction on Bitcoin. This is what he says.
At what price level could Bitcoin's market cycle be irreversibly damaged, i.e. breaking below 10K?
Yeah, so the important thing is based on right now, the next target is 12,000, but I think it's important to recognize that it's very possible we go below 10,000, all right? One thing I've learned in my trading career of stocks and commodities and now crypto is that assets go much further to the upside than anyone thinks and much further to the downside. I would say that you would prefer not to see the lows from 2018 and 19 taken out, which were around 3,500. Aside from that, this new unprecedented environment for crypto, because of the Fed and what they're doing, and they're pulling out money and sucking it out of the system, you have to expect that it could be a very rocky ride. So I started a HODL position at 19,000, just a small amount. I basically said to myself, what do I want to invest in Bitcoin over the longer term to just buy and hold? And I came up with a number and I divided it in 6 parts. And I took that first sixth amount of money and I bought at 19. And I'm going to basically put a buy level of that amount, 1/6 every 3,000 down. And so I'm looking at even potentially having some still buyable money even below 12,000 because I recognize from my history of trading that it can easily go below my lowest point. So I'm at a dollar cost average now, starting from 19, 16, 13, 10 and so forth all the way down.
Okay, how long is this bounce going to take? Or how long is it going to take to get to 25K, you think?
So I think it'll be faster. I think as we get and stay above 20,000, a lot more people are going to start to say, hey, we have a major low in Bitcoin, and you're going to see the bulls come back with a vengeance, trying to say, okay, now we're going to start heading back up to all-time highs. I think that'll propel it over the next probably 3 to 6 weeks back to 25 to 30,000, which again, from 17,000 as a low or 17.5, percentage-wise, that's massive. Now, if you're in from 60 or 65, that doesn't seem such a good bounce. And in percentage terms, that's a major, major move. Now, once we get there, unfortunately, I still see more downside. I still think that we will likely head down to probably about 12,000, which is my second price target on the downside.
I'm curious as to why you stopped at 30,000. Why not 100,000 or 150? Why not give a a long-term bull cycle high?
So I think it's important to recognize that I remain a long-term bull on Bitcoin. In fact, when we broke 20,000 at 19, I announced that I started my beginning HODL position. And so ever since we were at 65,000, even though I was bearish, I was always saying, hey, listen, long-term, I think there's a huge place in economy in the world for Bitcoin. And I think we'll get there. We'll get to 100,000, 500, maybe $1 million. It's just you have to flush out all the weak nonsense. I think last time we talked about that Darwinian concept of only the strongest will survive. So the idea here is that in the near term, a bounce back to 25 or 30. The reason 25 is a key level is that is your low from the Terra Luna collapse. So that is going to be resistance. And then if you go up, there was a ton of consolidation for about a month that occurred just around 30,000, and that is going to be major resistance. So it's hard for me to imagine with the NASDAQ, even though I expect bounces there, I still think the NASDAQ's headed a lot lower, at least to the COVID highs, that the Bitcoin market would bottom just yet fully. So I still think we need to wash out more of the weak-handed Bitcoin, and that will finally give us later this year a big point bottom. Yeah, 2 to 3 years out, I think we're back to 65. So I do think there's a decent chance that we're back to 65 within 2 or 3 years. I think this next 6 months or so is going to be the hardest. Then we'll bottom out, and then you'll probably have another 6 months of sideways chop. If we look at past cycles on Bitcoin, it's usually that first year down, and then you get a sideways kind of choppy where the bulls and the bears are just battling it out for a period of time, and then finally you start to get that move up. Inflation is going to be a systemic problem, maybe not at 8 or 9%, but at 5%. And I still believe that when the economy really tumbles here, and I'm starting to see the signals of that eventually the Fed will say, okay, we have 5% or 4% inflation, but we have 10% unemployment. We now need to print again, which is going to be another positive for Bitcoin. Longer term, lots of positives for Bitcoin. I don't think it's going away. I don't think it's going to zero ever, but ultimately you just have to weather the storm essentially.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dan.